Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos, welcome to Reading with Your Kids. My name is Jed. We are beaming out to you and the entire world from the loveliest neighborhood in all of Boston, Reedville. At Reading with Your Kids, our mission is simple but powerful, to bring families together through the shared magic of books and stories. In every episode, we sit down with fascinating folks who are creating books that open hearts and spark imaginations. We would love for you to help us grow this mission. You can do that by telling all of your family and friends about the show. Tell your kids' teachers, the principal, the guidance counselor, the librarian, even the school crossing guard, letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, Castbox, Player FM, Audible, Amazon Music. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. We have a really fun show for you today. First up, Samuel Joseph and Phil Proctor are here to celebrate the Magic Maze trilogy. Phil is a former member of Firesign Theatre, and he is hilarious. Later in the show, Laurel Gale will be here to celebrate Absolutely No Worries. Hey, I want to let you know that this episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Chicken Coop Chaos by Nancy Tavares. Are you ready for some barnyard fun your kids will absolutely adore? Then you've got to check out Nancy Tavares' delightful books, Chicken Coop Chaos and Chicken Coop Chaos Christmas. In the original Chicken Coop Chaos, we meet Pearl, a hen who loves peace, order, and a tidy little hen house. But when Window the Rooster barges in and decides he's not leaving, Pearl has to hatch a clever plan to take back her space. And let's just say things get hilariously chaotic. And just in time for the holidays, Chicken Coop Chaos Christmas brings even more laughs, heart, and festive feathered fun. These books are perfect for young readers, classrooms, and family read-aloud time. So flap on over to your favorite bookstore or online retailer and grab your copies of Chicken Coop Chaos and Chicken Coop Chaos Christmas today. Your kids will be clucking with joy. Get ready, adventure fans. Toby Baxter is back. And I Heart Riverhome, the fourth thrilling book in the Adventures of Toby Baxter series, written by Tim Wright. 13-year-old Toby dives into his most unexpected quest yet. He's battling trolls, navigating the sandpit of love, and getting stuck with an LOVE compass. But when the girl of his dreams, Rainey, is kidnapped, Toby must summon more courage than ever before. All 4 books in the Adventures of Toby Baxter series have been honored as Reading with Your Kids certified great reads, each packed with fast-paced action, humor, and heart. So grab your copy of I Heart Riverhome today and join Toby on an unforgettable journey through Riverhome, where every page is an adventure. My friends, we are going to have a fantastic time. We've been dealing with a little bit of technical issues, but that always leads to a fun time. First, joining us from California, he's here to celebrate his middle grade trilogy, the Magic Mage trilogy. Please welcome to the show, Samuel Joseph. Samuel, how are you?
Hello, along with my partner, Phil Proctor.
Yes, he's never going to introduce me. I'm the silent partner.
And that voice is coming to us from the beautiful province of Nova Scotia.
Where he's
Phil
visiting.
Proctor. Hey, Phil, how are you?
I'm good, Jed. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful day here in Amherst, Nova Scotia. I'm up for a little to celebrate my girlfriend's 72nd birthday. It's so funny to talk about when you're an old person, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. You can't say your old lady or your old man, right? Because you're insulting them. So what do we call our companions as we get older? Anyway, I'm having a great time, and I'm glad that the link is finally working and technical difficulties.
Yes. Phil, I love Nova Scotia. I spent a month riding around Nova Scotia on my bicycle back.
Oh, wow.
Back when I was 20 or 21 years old, it was a wonderful time. It ended in an accident, but I didn't get hurt too bad, and I was able to get home.
Oh, well, that sounds like a good story.
So,
It's a beautiful place.
it
You know,
is.
they say it's a part of Canada, but I find it to be a part from Canada. It's like a country of its own, don't you think?
I do. And I really love Boston, where I am, has a really strong connection with Nova Scotia, especially Halifax. In addition to the fact that we have lots and lots of people who've immigrated from Nova Scotia here,
Sure.
including my grandmother. Way back in, I believe it was World War II, there was a munition ship in Halifax Harbor, and it blew up, and it devastated and destroyed most of the city of Halifax. And the people of Boston, when they heard about that, they were the first to jump on and send clothes and food and blankets. That this happened in the middle of winter. And ever since then, the folks in Halifax and Nova Scotia have sent us down a beautiful Christmas tree as a thank you.
Oh, what a beautiful story. We were in Halifax last night at the concert of an amazing musician, a magician musician named Pierre Suzanne. Excuse me. And if you ever get a chance to see this man play, oh my God, he combines all these wonderful styles, and he's a genius. But, so are we, because we wrote this wonderful children's book called Tyler and Tess in the Magic Maze. And very much like, your experiences in a different country and my experiences in a different country, we wanted to write something where kids could experience a magic realm that's kind of a combination of Alice in Wonderland and Wizard of Oz, and find themselves, having to work their way through a series of riddles and puzzles and physical tests to get back to their home again from this strange magic land.
That sounds fantastic. Samuel, we got to get you in this conversation. What was it that inspired that you two to team up and to create this series?
Well, as I was starting to mention, Phil is part of a group called the Firesign Theatre.
Uh-huh.
And they're very famous in comedy circles, enormously influential. As I was mentioning, their entire catalog was bought by the Library of Congress. They were sort of the Monty Python of comedy. So I knew of Phil for many years, and we were friendly. And then I wrote a stage play, a completely different kind of piece that was actually produced by John Densmore of The Doors in 2006. And I asked Phil to be in it, and he was great. And that we ultimately made a feature film about it. And I was working on this idea for a website game, children's book about the Magic Maze, and I'd written the first chapter. And sometimes I write with partners, and I asked Phil if he wanted to work with me on it, and he did. And we just had the greatest time. And since then, we've written a couple other things together. We wrote a play called God Help Us that Ed Asner did all around the country. Ed played God, and he's angry about what's going on politically, and we did that. And we've done some other stuff. And
Sam, if I might interject, we actually the play was played up here in Nova Scotia as well to a great crowd.
That's right. So we partner on some projects, and this was one. And it was basically one book that we turned into three because I have a woman who's a dear friend of mine who was my fourth grade teacher, and I reestablished. And I sent her the book. And she says, this is great. And we actually taught it in the public schools in Morristown, New Jersey, where I grew up. But she was on the school board. They said, you should teach these. But she said, you should turn it into 3 books because it's too long. And the kids get a sense of accomplishment. So we have Tyler and Tess in the Magic Maze, Madness in the Magic Maze, and Escape from the Magic Maze. So people can buy either 3 books individually, and they'll all stand alone and work together as individual books. We made sure of that. Or they can buy the whole trilogy at once. But they're very good for educators as well because we sneak in education all the way through all the books. For instance, they have to win a talent contest, right? and they come up with a homonym rap rhyme. So we could have kids in the class come up with their own homonym rap rhymes.
Which is what? What is it? Teach me.
A homonym is I blew out the blue candle.
Oh.
I went to the store to buy 2 apples too.
Ah.
In addition to being a writer, I'm also a college English professor.
And
So-
yeah, that's right. A college English professor who's written children's cartoons.
Yeah, I used to write Batman and DuckTales and cartoon shows like that. And Phil is actually quite famous for the voices he does. He's
That's right. I'm Howard on the Rugrats. That's probably my most famous character, the father of Phil and Lil. But I've done a whole bunch of Disney and Pixar movies, Finding Nemo, Monsters Incorporated, Beauty and the Beast, Inside Out, on and on and on and on. Hundreds and hundreds of voices for hundreds of films and cartoons. And it's just been great. So I felt an obligation to children, all right, because they're the little consumers who've been keeping me in the lifestyle that I want to be associated with. But quite seriously, I do take my my obligation to entertain children very seriously, and I'm very happy and proud that I've had a career that has allowed me to do that. So there you are.
That's really wonderful. I'm curious. How does the collaboration work? Does one of Sam? Do you come up with a basic idea and then you share it with Phil, and he just lets his unique personality take over?
It's more than unique, but it's that's partly true. It was my idea originally, but Phil and I said, "Here's the idea I want to do," and I think I had come up with the fractured forest. The fractured
That's right.
was they were in this trying to get out of this forest, and there's every kind of tree imaginable, and they realized they're all grouped in prime numbers, so they count down to 1 and get out. So I said to Phil, I have these kind of ideas. What ideas? So Phil came up with a bunch of ideas too, and we divvied them up, and we came up pretty much half and half. And pretty much anybody who came up with that idea wrote that chapter. Then we would sit down and rewrite the chapters so they had more of a sense of fluidity, and they sounded more similar. So we broke them up and then collaborated. That's how we did it.
Yeah, and you know, I've worked most of my life with a group like the Firesign Theatre, which is a 4-man satirical comedy group. Had a great success back in the 60s, the late 60s, right up really to the modern day. If you go to the firesigntheatre.com website, you can get all kinds of new material from our long collaboration. There's only 2 of us left, but we were all fire signs. I'm a Leo, 2 Sagittarians, and an Aries. We came together on a show by Peter Bergman called Radio Free Oz, and we developed all of our chops on the radio before we started making phonograph records, for which we've been nominated 3 times for Grammys for Best Comedy Album. So we've had a very good ride with Firesign Theatre.
Boy, you know, Phil, I haven't heard the word phonograph in decades.
How about stereo?
Yeah, and then the quadraphonic and all that other stuff. What was that like, being part of that? And Phil, I appreciate you not calling Samuel to task when he said that he kind of compared you to Monty Python. I would compare Monty Python to you guys. I think you guys came before Monty Python, didn't you?
Yes, we certainly did. That's very true. And
I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right. No, we were dubbed the Beatles of comedy and America's Monty Python by like Rolling Stone magazine. You know, so I mean, there's certainly nothing that we felt. We were delighted to be compared to them. And in fact, I just saw John Cleese in concert. He calls his concert "I'm Not Dead Yet," and they play a digitized version of the Holy Grail. And then John comes out on his bunny slippers and talks about the making of the movie. Okay, and I've met him and other pythons over the years, and they all recognized an homage as well to the Firesign Theatre. They knew that we were both inspired by the Goon shows, which were an English institution starring Spike Milligan and Peter Sellers, among others, and that influenced British comedy because they were very surrealistic, absolutely crazy, off-the-wall, half-hour comedy shows with live music and sound effects and everything. And that's what inspired the Firesign Theatre to create what I guess you could call the long-form comedy album, where we basically dedicate an entire side of a photograph record when they had sides to one story. Okay? But enough about us. Let's talk about us.
Yes.
So I wanted to mention two things. One, one of the things we did when we were working with the school district in New Jersey was we did Zoom calls with classes, and Phil and I would love to do Zoom calls with class. If a teacher wants to buy the book for a class, so we actually have lesson plans on the website, and we would happy to talk to the classes via Zoom, and Phil does his voices for the various cartoons, and the kids love that. And it's really for like 4th, 5th, 6th grade classes.
Yeah. Tell me what's in the Zoom meetings with the kids. That's something that I've been doing with I did educational magic shows at schools for 35 years. And
oh, great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But I remember, Phil, you probably could relate to this. My first Zoom program. I had there's hundreds of faces on my screen, and I had this one routine that I started with all the time, where the kids actually saw an egg appear, boom, like magically from out of nowhere in a bag. And when I did that live, it would always get this huge pop from the kids, just this gasp, and it was wonderful. And the first time I did it on Zoom, the egg appeared, and there was silence. And I sat and I was in front of my camera, and I was thinking, what am I going to do? And then a second later, the class burst out because it was a delay.
Oh boy, it's all about timing, isn't it?
I'm
right?
telling you, and sometimes you just have no control over that.
Well, I'm a lifetime member of the Magic Castle in Los Angeles because I used to incorporate magic illusions into my performances and into the Firesign Theatre on stage productions. Mm-hmm. So they honored me with a lifetime membership for, the promotion of magic. And I was just there and seeing some wonderful miracles, including eggs and coconuts and live birds. And, even though I know how some of these illusions are created, I am nonetheless astounded at the skill of the people who do it. And that's kind of like what we set out to do. We took our combined skills as writers in various formats, and by putting it into a fantasy and a challenging fantasy that we hope would teach kids to be excited about learning. Okay, we were able to combine a lot of our past experience and put it into a combined format of adventure, and that's really, I think, the way most writing happens. You get a good idea, you find somebody who understands what you're doing, and then you bounce ideas off of one another. And when you write, you can, tune your writing so that it sounds like it's coming from one person, which it really is, because you're combining your artistic talents.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that excites me is the fact that, first place, it's really focused on the adventure. Let's just be clear. Mm-hmm. We sneak in the education.
That's true.
Your show is about parents who want to read to their kids or read with their kids. Okay, this is great because this book allows the parent to read with the kids, to talk about the character, the struggles the brother and sister have to go through, which is often a dynamic that occurs in the families, about how they have to work together. Mm-hmm. Then also, when an educational thing comes up, the parent can use that. So it's not one of these books that a kid gets that people are being killed all the time, or it's just one piece of violence after another, or it does have adventure, it does have some excitement and
danger. The
a
kids
lot
are
of
in danger.
out of danger, but it's not just let's go like these video games where they're killing all sorts of people. It's not that. We chose to be. We wanted to do something different. We wanted to do something that was more clever, and in the best sense of the word. And I think we did. I think the kids who read it love it.
That's fantastic. I'm curious, the different characters you mentioned, the brother and sister, and certainly that whole sibling rivalry thing is certainly an issue that many families have to deal with in teaching their kids to work together. I think that's wonderful that you have that there. Do you see this as, say there's a family with a sixth grader and a fourth grader, and with everybody reading it together and talking about it and saying, well, how can you guys work like the kids in the book?
Right.
That's good.
100%. 100%. Yeah. That was the goal. Right. I'm extremely close to my sister, but when we were kids, we fought all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now we don't.
Yes.
Thank God. we finally worked it out after all these years.
Yeah, and I'm an only child, and I fought with myself constantly.
No, but that's true. That the parents can do that. Yes.
Yeah. One of the things that I did when I was reading with my kids, and I thankfully when my daughter got to second grade and started reading independently, I was really bummed out because I really loved reading with both of my kids. My son was older, and so he was already reading independently. And my daughter's second grade teacher came up to me one day and she goes, "You have to keep reading with her." And I said, "I do?"
Oh.
Yes. I go, "Great, excellent." And so we continued reading with my daughter, boy, all through high school. Is there any, Phil, are there any characters in the book that you have kind of created a voice for that you can share with us, so when the parents pick up the Magic Maze trilogy, they might be able to recreate that voice as they're reading it with their kids?
Well, I think the most intriguing character is a character named Myron, who is the Magic Maze master. And he's the one who is kind of guiding the kids through their adventures and helping them in subtle ways to make their way towards their escape back to their homes. And Myron's, I guess, he's an old gnome is what he is. So he sounds something like this. He's very kindly, but also a little threatening. So there you go.
I love it. What about you, Samuel? I'm imagining that you have some creative voices. Is there a character in the book that you've kind of heard in your imagination?
Queen Zebra. Well, Simon Percival, who is the evil, duplicitous wizard, he's very kind, it seems, but he's cunning, and you really know when he's trying to be kind to the kids, he's got a ulterior,
another agenda. Yeah, right.
I like writing in my more adult pieces. I actually like writing about sociopaths. It's true. I mean, I do. The movie, that film, is a dark comedy about corporate greed that Phil and I got to know each other, and that I made into a movie. You can find it online. It's called Window of Opportunity, and it's on Tubi. And I just think that a lot of the problems in the world is that we have people who lack empathy and are dishonest and have no character and just care for themselves, basically sociopathic traits, in charge of major corporations and in government. And so I think we, in our own little way, this kind of guy, he wants power in this world, and so does this evil Queen Zebra. They all want power, but it's all about because they're all screwed up themselves, and they all have their own thing. So I think that's always interesting. as a
the kids are bringing good values to a crazy upside down world that's ruled by, an autocratic queen and her crazy followers. And so, it's like confronting life in general, right? Life is pretty crazy, and we have to bring a certain kind of a bravery and a logic and an intelligence to it in order to figure out just how to move along and achieve a happy, well-balanced, and creative existence for ourselves. So the book is a metaphor in that way, as is everything in the arts. It's all there to instruct you and inspire you to live a better life. At least that's how I look at it.
I agree, Phil.
Yeah. Tell me, is there plans to create more books in this series?
If we, I'd like to, assuming how well we do with this push to get sales. Yeah.
We actually started a sequel, didn't we, Sam?
We did at one point, yeah. But then we went. I think then we went on. We wrote "God Help Us," and that became a major thing.
That's right. It took a lot of our time.
Because we did in over 30 cities around the country, and we had to keep on rewriting it every time something would happen in the news. We'd have to.
That's right. And listen, if people want to know more about my crazy life and how I managed to get through it for 85 years, you could get my book, which is called "Where's My Fortune Cookie" on Amazon, and it's got a lot of nice pictures in it too. So that'll show you the magic route, the magic maze I've been going through to have a successful life in show business. And I encourage everybody to read positive works as often as they can, and to take it to heart. Be of good heart. Your life will make a difference. Okay?
I love that. I love that. And one of the things that we say here on the show is, that the time that you spend as a parent reading with your kids, you're building that bond. And that is going to make a huge difference in your kid's life. It's going to make a huge difference in your own life, too.
That's correct. I couldn't agree more.
And we couldn't think of 3 better books than the Magic Maze trilogy to read to your kids.
Right. Lots of fun characters.
Well said. Samuel,
by the way, we have a website, www.magicmaze.com. Magicmaze.com.
Magic Maze.
And you can buy the books there. You can see the video about who we are and the project and all that.
Yeah, it's a good video on there. You'll enjoy it.
Excellent. We'll check that out. And Phil, you mentioned in your autobiography, do you have that on audiobook?
Yes, I do. Yes. So you can get the audiobook or you can get the actual book itself. The advantage of the book is it's got a lot of pictures. The advantage of the audiobook is that I made some corrections and I added a whole new chapter about a friend of mine who had a great influence on my life. And one last thing. If you watch the John Candy documentary that's on the air now on Netflix, you will see an homage to the Firesign Theatre, because we influenced John Candy and a lot of the players at Second City, the improv actors, with our records. And so if anybody's then interested, you can follow up by listening to some of our stuff, because it's all over the internet.
Yeah, I love it. Sam, one of the things I love about audiobooks, especially when they're read by the author, is oftentimes an author will be reading it, and then you can hear in their voice that, oh, I forgot I wrote this, and they kind of chuckle, and I just listened to Mel Brooks's autobiography, and there are many times in that he chuckled. So I'm going to listen to Phil's and see if I can catch him chuckling in his narration.
And by the way, you'll also hear sound effects in certain places, and you'll hear an original song I wrote as well. So it's more than your average audiobook. It's got other surprises as well. And yes, you'll hear me chuckling. I'm sure. I'm chuckling now.
We've had a great time speaking to the authors of the Magic Maze trilogy. Our guests have been Samuel Joseph and Phil Proctor. Hey guys, this has been a blast. Thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
It was wonderful being with you. Thank you. God bless everybody out there.
Thank you, Jed. Really appreciate it.
This episode is brought to you by OnceUponADance.com. Ignite imagination with award-winning dance and movement books. Once Upon a Dance inspires young readers to twirl, leap, and dream with whimsy and wonder. Whether your child enjoys unicorns, bats, zombies, or cats, Once Upon a Dance has a dance-it-out story to get them moving. For more information about this 37 delightful books, please visit OnceUponADance.com or find them on your favorite social media platform. This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Trumpet, the Miracle Wolf Pup series. There's a brand new book in the series, and we're so excited to tell you all about it. Trumpet becomes a mom. In this exciting book, Trumpet and Lighthawk, now a bonded pair, start their own family with their very first litter of pups. Families can read together, schools can explore the importance of wolf packs and conservation, and Trumpet fans everywhere can celebrate this milestone in her incredible journey. Grab your copy today, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, select bookstores, and the Wolf Conservation Center, where Trumpet and her family live. Plus, 50% of all profits go right back to supporting the Wolf Conservation Center, with more donated to Lighthawk Conservation Flying. So grab your book today and have a group haul for Trumpet and her family. Join us right now from the great state of Idaho. Our guest is returning to Reading with Your Kids to celebrate her new picture book. It's called Absolutely No Worries. Please welcome back to the show the very cool and unworried Laurel Gale. Hey, Laurel, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Jed?
I'm delighted. I'm really happy because we're recording this a couple of days before Thanksgiving. I had to go to the supermarket tonight, and there was no lines. It was right in and out. I was afraid I was going to get stuck behind those last-minute Thanksgiving shoppers.
I did my Thanksgiving shopping on Friday, so I think I have everything I need.
That's how I'm like that too. It's like, yeah, I got everything, and then the next morning I go, yeah, but I forgot, and actually I just realized what I forgot. So I'll be back there tomorrow. So I'm not really worried about that, but tell me about Absolutely No Worries, please.
Okay, so Absolutely No Worries is about Emma, and she's a girl. Her mom has asked her to go get the mail. That sounds simple enough, but Emma is worried about all the dangers that might lurk outside her door. Everything from pirates and skeleton armies to encountering aliens and getting lost at sea. She has a very big imagination, but she also has a lot of supplies. She tries to be ready for absolutely anything she could encounter. But despite all her plans, she's still worried, and she needs a little push. It's not until she thinks somebody needs her help that she's able to overcome her fears and finally step outside.
Awesome. A lot of us sit back and we look at kids and they go, what a life. These kids don't have a worry in the world. They just come home and we take care of them and we buy them everything and they don't have to work. But kids have a lot to worry about.
Everything's new for them. Yeah, they have a lot. Everyone has different things to worry about. We just have to make sure those worries don't stop us from enjoying our lives.
Yeah. As you're talking, I'm recalling something that happened to me when I was probably 4 or 5 years old. So like close to 100 years ago. And I remember my parents, we lived in the city. We were a block away from the neighborhood store, the convenience store. And so my parents, it was the very first time my parents said, hey, go down the store and buy me this. And I said, okay. And I was like, psych, because I'm going by myself. And it's the first time. And they said, don't go out in the street. Just don't go out in the street. That was the rule. And that was okay because it was all on the same sidewalk. And I go down the street, and lo and behold, halfway down the street, there's a big moving van and a ramp going from the truck onto our neighbor's porch. And they're moving in. and it's blocked. And I must have been there for about an hour trying to figure out. I was afraid to go underneath the ramp, and I definitely wasn't going out in the street because that's my mom said, just don't go out in the street. And it was a problem. And finally I went back home and they're going, where were you? And I'm like, and you didn't even bring the thing back. And I'm like, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, everything's new when you're a kid. You're doing things for the first time, so it might seem small to an adult who has encountered that sort of issue 100 times before. But if it's your first time, then yeah, it can be scary.
Yeah, I think that's so important for us all to remember that our kids are encountering things for the very first time, and in addition to having empathy for them when they're worried and facing problems, I think it would do us good, and I think it would do our hearts good to kind of enjoy the awe that our kids are experiencing when they're doing things for the first time. When, seeing that sunset or that view for, we've seen it 1,000 times, and yeah, it was great the first time. Our kids are seeing it. They're getting real excited about it. Let's kind of lean into that so we can experience it too.
I completely agree. That's the main thing that I really love about writing for children is that I get to embrace that sense of wonder with everything that's new in the world from their perspective. And in Absolutely No Worries, yes, Emma is worried. She has anxiety. She's afraid of the bad things she might encounter, but it's not all negative. She has a big imagination. She likes to prepare. There's also this sense of adventure and wonder. It's not just negative.
Mm-hmm. Was there a particular person that you modeled Emma after?
If I had to pick anyone, it would be myself. I tend to worry. I think a lot of people tend to worry. I like to be prepared for things and to make plans. Maybe not to the extent of Emma, but yeah, she wasn't really based off of anyone, but the closest would be myself.
What was it that inspired you to write this particular book?
Well, a long time ago, I had written another manuscript that dealt with a similar topic of a girl who was worried about the unknown and everything that could happen. And that manuscript didn't really go anywhere, like a lot of manuscripts. And then later I wrote another manuscript that was the basis for Absolutely No Worries, about this girl who was prepared for everything. And based on some initial feedback, I kind of ended up joining those two manuscripts together.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. Isn't that neat how you can bring, one idea doesn't work, the other idea doesn't work, but if we put them together, we get something here.
Yeah, that's often the case. I have, a folder filled with manuscripts that didn't work for whatever reason, another file filled with little ideas, and I never know when something is going to spark something else, or I'll figure out how to combine them, how to twist the perspective and make it work.
Tell me, what's your process? Do you like regularly go into that file of little ideas and review old manuscripts, or is it just something you think of something and it's like, oh, I remember I did that thing before, and let me see if we can put this together?
I have maybe a few different systems. Sometimes it's more methodical. I'll want to write something. Maybe I'll have a type of picture book in mind that I want to write. And so I'll sit down and brainstorm and come up with basically just idea after idea until the ideas start to get good, and combine them into something that works. But then I'll also just have ideas that hit me randomly. I'll be doing something else, I'll be talking to someone, and suddenly I'll have an idea for a manuscript and I'll jot it down. And sometimes that excitement dissipates as I realize, oh, maybe this doesn't work so well. I'll keep the notes somewhere in case I figure out something later. And
Mm-hmm.
other times it'll just flow and I'll be able to write it down very quickly. I still have to do revisions, of course, but the idea really seems to work.
Yeah.
And then I do try to go over my lists of old ideas sometimes because it's easy to forget them. But when I look back at them, sometimes it does spark something new and I want to take an old idea and work it in a different way. Or maybe I was just too busy at the time and now I have time to actually try to develop it.
Yeah. Tell me, you're a visual person. You love animal photography, wildlife photography. So you have that visual artist kind of mind. But this book was illustrated by an illustrator. We should give her a shout out. Tell us who illustrated it.
Anne Wilsdorf.
Okay.
And yes, she is a phenomenal artist. Like you said, I do wildlife photography and I'm actually trying to learn how to draw now, but Anne Wilsdorf is just amazingly talented. I love her illustrations. We were talking about the sense of wonder that kids have, and that really comes across in her art. There's so much wonder and adventure and joy. Even as Emma is struggling with anxiety, you still get that sense of fun. And there's so much detail, so much color. I love that she added mailboxes. Okay, so let me back up a second. So much of the story takes place in Emma's head. She's in her house, in front of her door, trying to get ready to go. So a good chunk of the book takes place right there. And yes, you see her supplies, but there's not a lot of movement. Most of the story is happening inside her head. And the illustrator did an amazing job of illustrating everything she's imagining in her head. So you get these really fun adventure scenes. And she added the mailbox because Emma is thinking about how she'll encounter all of these dangers and adventures on her way to the mailbox. And so a lot of people don't even notice it when they first read the picture book. But hidden in a lot of the illustrations, there's that mailbox, her ultimate goal. And it's just such a fun detail. I couldn't be happier with the art.
Yeah. Well, that's really great. One of the questions I was going to ask you is, as somebody who has this mind for visual art and visual expression, was it difficult for you to kind of let go and allow an illustrator to tell part of your story?
No, not really. I guess I've been very lucky because the illustrators that I've had for my books, both Absolutely No Worries and my picture book that came out last year, Robots Don't Make You Go to Bed, I've had great illustrators working on these projects. And no, I've never really had that problem. I'm not the type of person who gets mad when I watch a movie based on a book that I've read because the characters aren't how I imagined. I don't have that problem. So I respect what illustrators do so much. And for me, it's just a privilege to see how they take my words and run with it and really create an entire other level of the story.
Fantastic. Yeah. Talking about your wildlife photography, what's the, on your website, there are some great shots. There's a deer and a bobcat, I think. And I live in the city of Boston. Now, granted, we're as far away from downtown as you can be, and we're next to a wildlife sanctuary, but I swear I saw a bobcat in my neighbor's backyard not too long ago, and I said, this is impossible. And I went online. It's like, yeah, there are some. And I'm like, that was incredible. What's your favorite or some of your favorite wildlife shots?
Ooh, that's hard because my favorite wildlife subject is whatever has been posing for me recently. I love photographing, of course, the bobcat. That was an amazing encounter. And we have a lot of great horned owls, great blue herons. I love the otters and the mink. Oh, see, I can just keep going. I love all of it. For me, it's more about watching the behavior. So it's not necessarily the species or, seeing a new species. That can be exciting. But for me, it's being able to get to know the species, to be able to watch them from afar. I try to be very quiet and not disturb them. And I use a very big camera with a long telephoto lens so that I can photograph them without getting close. And I like to watch them. I love to watch birds preening or the wildlife eating, just going about, whatever they do and getting to observe that and learn about them and then photograph that.
Yeah. How did you fall in love with wildlife photography?
I got into birding just from seeing birds and thinking, I wonder what type of bird that is, and learning. And, it develops from there, as it does for a lot of birders, where you start to be, oh, what's that bird? Oh, there's this bird. Oh, I can identify that. Then you look at field guides. Oh, that's a cool bird. I want to see that. And you go out looking for it. And I started photographing the birds because it can be really hard to identify them in the field. You can use binoculars, but then you have to remember what you're seeing. If you take a photograph with a good zoom or a telephoto lens, you can compare the image to your field guide, and it's a lot easier. Yeah. And then, from there, I just wanted to take better and better photos. So it kind of evolved from that.
Yeah. Now, did you start photography back in the day when we had to take our film to a little photo mat and drop it off and then come back a couple of days and hope you took a good picture?
No, I have taken photographs with film cameras, but not recently and not seriously. So back in the day, I'd have my family photos or my vacation photos with the cheap film cameras and the disposable cameras, but I have never developed my own film. I've definitely been spoiled by digital cameras recently.
I'm telling you, I remember being in Maine and taking pictures, and you'd go up there with maybe 3 rolls of film, so you have 36 pictures in a roll, and it's like, do I waste one of these shots? Is this good enough to take one of those? And then you get back and you're so excited. Oh, I remember that. And then you get the image back and it's like, I didn't really frame that very well, did I?
Well, I still get a lot of missed shots, certainly, but I don't really have to worry about saving film. I can take as many photos as I want since my camera can have more than 3,000 shots, I think, on one flash drive, or one memory disk, whatever they're called. And then I have to switch it out, but it can hold a lot.
Boy, technology has just gone crazy. I was speaking to somebody the other day about editing video, and back when I first created a video, I had to go into a studio and was editing it analog, so it went from one video recording machine to another, and now you sit down. I have this program. I can just stick a podcast interview into the program, hit a button, and it finds what the best parts of the thing, and it spits it out for me, and I don't even break a sweat.
Yeah, technology does make things easier, although sometimes it's nice to actually, do things yourself. I try to limit the automation, especially for editing. When taking pictures in the field, I use manual mode. some things I have to automate, like the ISO levels, because everything's changing and I have to make sure I can capture the moment without fumbling with my settings. But I still mostly use manual mode and try to avoid relinquishing all of that control to technology.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to absolutely no worries. What kind of conversations do you think families can have as they're snuggled up on the couch reading this book together?
That's a great question. I want Absolutely No Worries to be just a fun story that children enjoy. You know, yes, Emma is worried, but it's also just a story about a big imagination. There's a lot of funny scenes. So I want everyone to be able to enjoy it, whether or not they deal with worries of their own. But then it's also a conversation starter. In the back of the book, I have a list of tips for kids. It's 6 different tips called Emma's List of How to Prepare for Anything. So this is an extra page that parents can go over with their children, or librarians or teachers can go over with kids. And it just has 6 very simple, practical tips that can help children or adults deal with their worries.
Yeah.
And I also have some resources available online. They're on the publisher's website, that's Astra. And then also I have links on my own website. One of the resources is a list of discussion questions. So if you want to talk more about the book in particular, but also, you know, worries and preparing for things more in general, the discussion questions can help spark that conversation.
Tell me what's next for you? Do you have a project in the works right now you can give us a sneak preview of?
Nothing I can give you a sneak preview of. I'm always working on different projects. I'm working on a couple of things right now. Just have to wait and see.
Great. Well, let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Absolutely No Worries and find out more about you and see some of your great photography.
The best place to find out more is my website. That's www.laurelgale.com. And I'm also on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm on a lot of social media, too much social media, but I have links in my website. So that's generally the best, easiest place to go.
We've had a great time speaking to the author of Absolutely No Worries. It is the latest picture book from our guest, Laurel Gale. Hey, Laurel, thanks for being back on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and would join us for the next exciting episode of the show. If this show made you smile, and I can't imagine that Phil Proctor didn't make you smile, please share the link to the show with a friend, someone you love. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review. It really does help us and grow our mission. And also, please be sure to subscribe to the show so you don't miss a moment of Reading with Your Kids. We'd also love for you to connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, at Reading With Your Kids on Instagram, at Jedley Magic on X, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/readingwithyourkids, and of course, our website, readingwithyourkids.com. That is the place to go if you'd like to check out our Certified Great Read Wall of Fame. It's also the great place to go if you are the author of a fantastic children's book. We love giving platforms to authors from all over the world, especially indie and self-published authors. You know, you guys helped us launch the podcast 8 years ago. Now we have New York Times best-selling authors, Hollywood stars turned children's author, members of Firesign Theatre coming on the show, and it's fantastic, but we still love our indie and self-published authors. So if that's you, please visit readingwithyourkids.com, click the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page, and let us know that you'd like to be a guest on the show. Being a guest is fun, it's easy, and it gives you the chance to tell thousands of Kidlit fans all over the world about your fantastic children's book. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guests, Samuel Joseph and Phil Proctor. Be sure to check out the Magic Mage trilogy. Also want to thank Laurel Gale. Please be sure to check out Absolutely No Worries. I want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we want to thank you. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you for taking the time to make the world a better, kinder, more loving place. And you do that every single time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.